and the sense of accomplishment that you get from building your own home with your own two hands is something that is undescribable.
Grow your garden, find your tribe, let your heart's burning side move your body towards the light.
Hello everybody, this is Richard coming to you from the Terraform Homestead. Today we have something a little bit different for you. Today we are sharing a video from our archives. This was past Richard almost 7 years ago, a tour of Terraform 1, the first tiny home that I ever built. Today's video is coming to you special because I want to promote the Tiny House Bundle 2022. This is an amazing opportunity. The plans for Terraform 1 are going to be in this package. It comes with a bunch of different resources for those who want to go tiny, for those who want to do van life, for those who want to live nomadic, just really for anybody who wants to live a simpler, healthier, more sustainable life. This bundle is great. I purchased it way back whenever I was started building. It was extremely helpful to me. This bundle is coming to you for $49. The plans for this home are $200 normally. So you get the plans for this home, the 3D SketchUp model, the renderings, the SIPS drawings, the everything for this home for $49 instead of $200. And on top of that, you get ebooks that show you how to build a tiny home, how to go into van life, other tiny home plans if you don't want to build this home specifically, membership to the Tiny House Association, which is really cool. Tons and tons of stuff in this bundle. It is only going to be available from today to the end of the week. So we've only got 5 days of this. Wanted to put this video out there to show you guys a recap of what we did 6-7 years ago, and if you stick around to the end, we're gonna have some updates. This home has been lived in for 6 years now, and I love it still, but there's definitely some things we've changed, so stick around to the end. Enjoy the video. Everyone, this is Richard here with Terraform Tiny Homes. I want to give you guys a tour of Terraform number 1, my first tiny home. It is a 250 square foot tiny house on wheels. So I started building in September of 2015, moved into it in January of 2016. I never would have thought that I've had over 8,000 people through my house. 2 exhibits, Earth Day Texas 2016 and of Dallas Festival. We had 5,000 the first weekend and 3,000 the second weekend. Had the opportunity to be on HGTV. I've loved my tiny house. It's been just an amazing opportunity. So I want to give you guys a little quick tour. So in designing my house, something that was really important to me throughout the entire build was to use reclaimed materials. As much as I could salvage, as much as I could find, on the side of the road or at, resale shops or things like that, I did. One of my favorite parts of my house is actually my front door. The front door just turned 90 years old. Pulled it out of a dumpster in front of an old historic house. And where I got it, it had a big mirror on the back. Took the mirror off and it was dated December 2nd, 1926. Give you guys a quick tour. Coming in, immediately you have the bedroom up on the gooseneck loft, which includes this closet and stairs, the living room, which kind of doubles as a guest bedroom, and then behind, kitchen and bathroom, storage lofts, and everything else. In designing my home, I wanted something that felt very functional, that also had a lot of the design aesthetics that made it feel really homey, made it feel really big and bright. So some of the important things that I did was keep very tall ceilings. The ceilings in here on the high side are 10'6", on the low side are 9'6". Even in the loft, the high side is 6'4", the low side is 5'4". So, being 6'2", I can stand up in my loft. There's not a lot of tiny houses that you can do that in. So for the ceiling, I used reclaimed deck wood that I found literally on the side of the road, mixed with corrugated metal. Using that mix of materials gives her a really interesting design, and the corrugated metal running across the ceiling actually gave me a place to run my conduit, so it looks more like a design feature than it does a utility. For my bedroom, I wanted to have it up on the gooseneck versus in a ladder. Couple reasons. One, I knew I would be renting my house out at some point, and I wanted to make it very accessible to people. And two, As you'll see in my kitchen, I have draft lines and I like beer, and a ladder at 3 in the morning after a couple beers seemed like a bad idea. One of the other great things about my bedroom is I used a projector screen that actually works triple duty. So the projector screen obviously works as a very large projector screen. So, you don't have to necessarily go small just because you're living in a tiny house. But also it works as a privacy screen, and it works to trap cold air because the AC is behind it. It works out really, really well. Did a lot of work in putting things that are double, triple, quadruple duty into this house, because whenever you're in 250 square feet, you really have to maximize every inch of space. You really have to be smart about what you're designing and think everything through. And finding solutions that make storage available but don't seem intrusive can really make your space feel a lot bigger. With my house, I decided to design my closet into the gooseneck. So it doesn't feel like it's part of the space necessarily. It just kind of hides away and it just looks like a built-in. But it provides a lot of extra storage for not only me, but when I was designing it, in theory, a second person. Just because you're living tiny doesn't mean everything necessarily has to be small. So one thing that I brought into my house was my projector. So I have the projector that goes down to the screen in the living room. I'm hooked up with PlayStation, laptop, whatever. And then a 8-speaker surround sound system that's run throughout the house. Hooks up to Bluetooth, so I listen to a lot of music, I listen to a lot of podcasts. So I can do that all in my tiny house. So in designing my kitchen, it would have been really easy for me to just go to a department store, to go to IKEA and get something off the shelf and just throw it in here. But I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do something a little more interesting, a little more innovative, and so I actually found this stainless steel dishwashing station at an auction site. It came out of a commercial kitchen. It's actually got 4 sinks. And what I did with it was take the main sink, leave it, but then take the additional 3 sinks, put this butcher block on it, hinged it up, and now these work as great little storage bins. I have my draft lines come directly out of the fridge, so that way you have beer on tap, and then a industrial vent hood. So coming into the bathroom, a lot of people think that just because they live in a tiny house, they can't have a normal sized bathroom. I'm here to show you, yes you can. So my shower is actually 42 by 36. Very large shower, fits very comfortably like a normal house. I have these lovely windows here. They're frosted so that you still get privacy in here, but during the day or during the morning you can have nice natural light coming in while you're showering. Using kind of that industrial sort of look, I actually it's a outdoor shower that I just ran the PEX plumbing through, and so it kind of gives a cool little design feature there. A little magnetic hanger for soaps and all of that. So this is actually my backsplash is all beer bottle caps. And then matching that sort of circle pattern, my flooring is actually all reclaimed firewood that I found on the side of the road. And I have this great storage rack that I don't use most of the space in. I'm actually only using one of those green boxes. Plenty of storage under the sink for, whatever. I use that a lot for my brewing fermenter kind of thing. A second additional sink. So there's generally a lot of controversy over why I have 2 sinks in such a small space. I like having 2 sinks because a lot of the times my kitchen sink will be full of dishes and I don't necessarily want to brush my teeth in that. It just seems cleaner for me. And since I had the extra space, I went ahead and put one in. I have the Nature's Head composting toilet. It was expensive, but I've kind of become an advocate for the composting toilets in general. I feel like that a flush toilet is kind of an environmental disaster. Why would you be pooping into clean drinking water whenever you don't have to? Kind of as a statement with that, put in my bedpan planters. So these are vintage bedpans that I use to hold my cactus, and it starts a conversation with people, kind of opens their eyes to, you don't have to have a flush toilet. And of the people who have toured my house, I've had over 8,000 people through. I made sure my toilet was well used before all those people came through, and not a single one told me my bathroom stunk. So they don't stink, they're great. Get a composting toilet, regardless of if you have a tiny house or not. I hope you guys enjoyed that archival footage, and we're back to 2022. Richard, want to go through just a few history things that have happened over the last 7 years. So this house has been my house off and on for the last many years. I lived in it several years in Dallas, Texas, and the idea of building this house was I knew I wanted to get out of Texas, but I didn't know where I wanted to live. After building it, I still lived in the house for another 1.5 years. So I decided to turn a Honda Element into a micro camper and travel the country. That really solidified my love for travel and my love for the road and being adventurous and just learning and doing things and meeting people. So after that, I built Terraform 3, which was my micro camper tiny home. So it was a 54 square foot tiny house on wheels. I will include a link in the description to that video if you're interested in that home. After that, this home became a rental. It was a rental for many years. I lived on the road for 4 years. It was managed by some amazing people in Austin, Texas. Basically, I got a cut of all the profits from the Airbnb without having to do anything. They managed everything. They fixed things up. They dealt with all the customers. And honestly, that brought in a lot of supplemental income for me. So even if you're not interested in living tiny, tiny homes can be great auxiliary dwelling units. They can be great rental units. They can be great Airbnb suites, things like that. I know in Austin, we were pulling around $150 a night. During South by Southwest and Austin City Limits, we were pulling $2,000 a weekend out of this home. So it was amazing to be able to build something that then brought some cash flow in. In the last 2 years, I've lived in this home full time. The biggest thing was we moved to Bisbee, Arizona. So we started Terraform Together, our nonprofit off-grid homestead, and this has been my primary home and will be my primary home until we finish the big house, which is likely 4 to 5 years from now. So we've been doing some upgrades to this home over the last several weeks. We're still in the process of doing some upgrades. So I want to run through some of those things with you guys. So I think the first thing that's good to go through with the updates from the main home in 2016 is some of the things that didn't work. This was the first home I ever built. I was learning on the go. I had a bunch of ideas, experimented, and some of them worked right, and some of them were horrific failures. So I want to go through some of those things so you guys don't make the same mistakes that I did. I think one of the first things that stood out to me when I'm rewatching this footage was the bathroom floor. That wooden epoxy floor in the bathroom was a horrible idea. We eventually had water seep underneath it and caused some damage. It all popped up. The second iteration of that was some old maps that we put down and epoxied over. That also caused issues. So back to tried and true, we have tile in the bathroom now. One of the sad updates that we have is our kegerator's gone. Our fridge finally gave out on us over the years, and I replaced it with more standard, just apartment refrigerator. The kegerator was fun, but it took up so much space in the refrigerator that it didn't really leave a lot of room to actually put food in there. Turns out 10 gallons of beer takes up a lot of space. So we've replaced that with just a normal apartment-sized refrigerator. Works great. It's functional. The kegerator was fun. It was a little showpiece, made this house unique, but we're back to a normal refrigerator. Another thing that seems like a small update, but it's definitely been the first step in a transition in my life is our couch. So I actually ended up tearing out that couch and putting in just a standard Walmart cheap kind of couch in here that fit the space. I've kind of shifted a little bit away from trying to invent everything and, you know, rebuild the wheel kind of thing, reinvent the wheel. And I'm starting to get to a place where, you know, builders may actually know what they're talking about, and it's probably better just to do it by the books than to try and think you know everything and reinvent something. So that couch literally has been replaced within the last year. We went 6 years with it. It served its purpose, but now we've switched to more traditional furniture that fit into the space. We are still doing some custom stuff, and I'll go through that later, but I'm kind of learning to read the manuals, go by manufacturer's recommendations, things like that, as I go forward in my building career. I think one of the biggest things that we did was go off-grid. This house was never designed to be off-grid. It was designed to plug into an outlet and plug into a garden hose and have the composting toilet. We've never done septic in this house, but going off-grid was a big deal for this home. We had to set up a solar system. We had to set up water tanks and pumps and things like that to get this house functional. Honestly, switching over outside of the infrastructure we had to set up, it really wasn't that hard to get off-grid. We did put timers on all of our refrigerators. We have timers and smart switches on all of our appliances, so they turn off every night, even if we forget to turn them off. That helps save power. The big thing, we took our air conditioning out, which I know some people are going to comment and say that we're crazy for living in the middle of the desert with no air conditioning, but we just found that like the little window unit just drew way too much power for what we were using. So we had to take the air conditioner out. I have successfully lived through 2 summers in the middle of the desert with no air conditioning, and I'm coming up on my 3rd. I may be investing in a mini split before this summer, but we'll just kind of see how that goes. Because yeah, summers in the southern Arizona desert are pretty rough. With this house being in its permanent location, we were able to build a patio, which is really nice. We have a little patio and concrete pad. We have some shade sails up. We've got some little planter beds that utilize our gray water. And yeah, we've got our house in a permanent location. Due to insurance, we had to skirt our house, which I was really not happy about, but it is what it is, and take the wheels off and put it up on blocks so that this house is in its permanent home. So that's a big deal in the transition of this house. It has found its forever home finally after 5 years, and has been lived in for 2 now. I think the biggest thing that has been updated in this house has actually been happening over the last like 2 weeks. We are doing a full kitchen remodel in this house. So 24-year-old Richard didn't really know what he was doing on a lot of things. And one of the major screw-ups was the kitchen plumbing. The drain lines they don't work quite right. And if you put too much water down, it causes a lot of issues. So we're actually ripping out the whole kitchen and redoing that. We just finished up one side of the kitchen and put in concrete countertops, which I'm very excited about. They're gorgeous. Putting concrete countertops in a tiny house on wheels is a terrible decision. They're heavy, they're fragile. It is awful. But we're not on wheels anymore. We're on a foundation. So I was comfortable with taking this kitchen that, 24-year-old Richard did the best he could. But it only took me about 30 minutes to tear out that kitchen. So yeah, we've got concrete countertops in. We've got a lot more storage. We're working on optimizing this space because this is home. This is where I'm living full time, and it's been 2 years, and it's finally time to kind of make some of these systems that weren't working super well better. So we've got one half of our kitchen done. Our butcher block countertops is going to get pulled out soon. We're going to be pouring concrete over those. The lift up countertops was a great idea, but we just never really used it. So we're going to pull that out, put concrete down to match, redo the cabinetry, redo the plumbing that was done incorrectly, and live more comfortably and happily here. I want to thank you guys for watching this video. I hope it's cool to see somebody that, 6 years ago, the tour, and still living tiny. I know a lot of people go tiny and just find out that it's not for them, and no judgment, but I love having owned my own home. So many cool things that come with the financial independence of building a tiny home, living debt-free, owning your own place, building it with your own hands. The skill sets that I gained from building my own home from scratch were just incredible. It built so much confidence, and it's just a really cool thing to do. So if you guys are interested in this home, if you guys are interested in the tiny house journey, I highly encourage you to check out that tiny house bundle. It's only going on for the next 5 days. And so be sure to click that link below, get hooked up, get the bundle. It's got the plans for this house. You can send it to a SIPS manufacturer and get your trailer. And we got the shell of this up in 2 days. It was dried in 2.5 weeks, and it was livable in 4.5 months. And the bulk of this was me doing it by myself on nights and weekends. with no idea what I'm doing. So if I can figure it out, I'm sure you can figure it out. If you guys enjoy this video, if you have any questions, comment. I'm happy to answer any questions about this home, about the homestead, about anything you guys are interested in. If you don't like these videos, comment, tell me. We are new to YouTube and still developing our style, developing you know, what works best and what you guys want to see. So I appreciate any comments. Helps me get better at what I'm doing and give you all what you want. So go check out that bundle. Thank you guys for watching. We're coming to you back with our normal videos next week. It's all about how we started our eco community. So if that's something that may interest you, hit that subscribe button. Go build something cool. Thank you guys for watching.